everyone, welcome back to the 7-Figure Plus Influencer Marketing course. This week, session 3, we will cover influencer outreach. Now to recap real quick, last week we covered how to find the right influencers. In this week, we will cover how to actually contact them. So it's an important chapter, so it's the first time we're actually going to talk and engage with the influencers we want to work with. We will discuss how to maximize your response rate, A/B tested outreach templates, and all the tools to use in order to maximize your impact.
Just a quick note, because you're following this content on YouTube, if you complete all the 10 sessions, you will receive this certificate of completion. You can access it through the link below. The course is widely acknowledged by corporates, D2C brands, and most of the larger agencies. You can add it to your curriculum vitae, your CV, as well as your LinkedIn certificates, and this will help to propel your career. Now let's get back to the content.
So let's dive right in and go through the course content. So the first chapter will be what to do before you actually start the outreach, which I will cover in a bit. Then the second chapter is the tools to use in order to automate. Really important to use automation. Second chapter is A/B tested outreach templates. So we go through all the templates which you should use in order to maximize your response rates. We have helped a lot of brands and merchants to probably by now to reach out to hundreds of thousands of influencers. So we have tested every single element in each of the emails in order to make sure that the email is crafted in a way to maximize your results. Top 5 rules to increase your reply rate. So we really go through how to negotiate, how to close deals, how to talk to influencers. And then in the last chapter, we will discuss or go through a simplified outreach funnel in order to understand how to plan your campaign. So we will discuss average response rates, average onboarding rates, so you know exactly how many influencers you should reach out to or contact in order to hit your numbers. Then audience warm-up. So this is what we recommend to do before you start reaching out to the influencers. And this is very simple. It's just to show these influencers ads of your company, of your brand, before the email comes. Now we typically do this 2-3 weeks before your outreach starts, right? You don't want to be too much in before, because then they might forget about it, and you also don't want it too close. So you want some time so it really triggers in. So we typically do run the ads until we have a frequency of around 2-3. So that every single influencer has seen your brand at least 2-3 times, right? What's the benefit of this, right? The influencers already has seen your brand in some way. So when the email comes, it's less cold, right? They might recognize you. It will increase the chances that they will reply, that they are excited about your brand. It also positions your brand. They might think that you are larger than you actually are. All those kind of things contribute in order to increase your response rates. So how to do this? I can quickly explain this to you. It's quite straightforward. What we recommend, and again, if you use Influencer Hero, it's quite straightforward because you can get the emails of the influencers. This can also with other tools, right? So probably you have the emails then if you use another tool. And what you can do in Influencer Hero is just click on your campaign manager, and then what you have essentially is the 3 buttons here. You click on View List, and you'll get to this section here where you see all the influencers. And you can just click on Export to Excel. And then what you get is an entire Excel list of all the influencers you have added to that campaign. And this looks, quickly see, like this. It's quite simple. It's just the influencer handle and then additional details. Now this is super useful also, not only to show ads, but also to, for example, show the list to your supervisor, to your manager, if you're working in a company, or if you're a marketing agency and you need to share the list for approval. This is just something which works really well because it's not only the influencer's name and email, it's also additional data like engagement rate, gender, age group, country, city, and then also the language, right? So this makes, this gives a lot more context to the influencers, and you have an organized list, right? So what you want to do is you want to take this export, and then what you want to do is you want to go to Facebook Business Manager, or I'm showing it now with Meta, but you can do the same in TikTok. In Meta, what you do is you go to the left-hand side here, you click on Audiences, and then you can create custom audiences. So here you select the option Create a Custom Audience, then you select Customer List, And then what you will get is you can download the file template here. And what this essentially is Meta allows you to just upload your customers, right? And then you can show ads to your customers. And we use that method in order to show the ads to the influencers, right? So this is the file which Meta provides you. You can add multiple emails. We only have one. So these other two will stay blank. Then phone, we don't have that. But make sure to fill out the sheet as much as possible, right? So what we do have is first name, last name. Then the zip code is not something we have. But what we do have is country, for example. Well, you can quickly cross-check with the sheet. We have country, gender. So you can basically look and try to fill out as many fields as possible. It will increase the chances that Meta is able to match your audience. But honestly, it will be close to 100% because most of the influencers, they use the email which we have to create their account. So that's just a direct match, right? So what you can then do is just run ads to them, and it won't be expensive because the audience size is not that big typically, right? So let them run for until you achieve a frequency of around 2-3, and that way the influencers have seen your ads before you contact them. Then automating your outreach, right? So let's take it from the beginning or step by step. So there are essentially two ways of contacting influencers. The first one is email, and the second one is direct message. And I get this question all the time from users asking, hey, should I use email or should I DM them? And there's kind of a generalized rule here, and we go through this in this chapter. In Western markets, typically speaking, so for example, the big four, so US, UK, Canada, Australia, but on top of that, entire Western Europe, Latin America, all those countries are mainly email focused. We just have a few exemptions. For example, in GCC countries, especially in the UAE, for example, a lot of influencers prefer to communicate through WhatsApp. And what we do there is we reach out through email, ask their WhatsApp, and then move the communication. There are a few other Asian countries, but East Asia is also mainly email. And so just make sure to know that. And let me actually explain the reason, right? So you can do both. It's not that you cannot do DM in Western markets. It's just that it has considerable drawbacks, right? So I actually made a quick table here to compare the two. Now, the first and foremost or most important reason why we always use email over DM is scalability. Okay, in order to work with the influence you need to work with in order to make an impact, you have to reach out to a lot of influencers. Now with DM, this is simply not possible because you cannot use automation. Well, in a certain way you can use automation, but you cannot send out that many DMs. Your account will get blocked, you'll get issues. Okay, so that's the first reason why we prefer to use email. Professionalism. So we actually have interviewed a lot of influencers and we did some studies, and actually the responses are in favor of email. Okay, most of the influencers, they prefer email because it comes over as more professional, right? Because the DM is often just their followers, friends, family, which are talking to them and chatting with them. An email, if it's crafted carefully and in a correct way, which we'll discuss in this session, comes over as professional. It's a business inquiry, so that helps as well. Response rates overall, what we have seen is higher with email. DM is not low, but typically we see lower response rate. Then we have one drawback definitely for email, which are talent managers. So with direct message, you are able to reach the influencers directly more often than through email, especially if you go into the macro and mega influencer space. There are a lot of talent managers, agencies involved, and the email will often refer to them, making it more tricky to negotiate. Right, especially if you do affiliate and gifting campaigns, because, well, this is actually something which we will cover in depth, how to negotiate with managers and talent agencies. We will do that in the next session, which is negotiation and campaign management. But in a nutshell, right, the talent agents don't have any benefit of a gifting campaign. The influencers do. So that's when you prefer to talk to the influencers over a talent agent, right? So typically, we as the advertisers always prefer to leave out the talent managers. But again, this will be covered more in detail in the next session. Let's see, did I miss here anything? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Then in terms of tools, right? So outreach tools, how should you actually contact the influence, right? Now, there are different ways to do this. We recommend obviously to use software here. Don't do manual outreach, right? If you are opening 20 emails in your Gmail and then sending them out manually, I mean, it works, but the cost will be really high of you doing this, right? And the competition is way ahead of you, right? You need to streamline with influencer marketing. That is super, super important because otherwise you will give up. You will be buried in manual tasks, and that is definitely not what we want here. Now, there are different tools you can use. We recommend to use influencer software because then you merge your outreach directly within the other tools you need to use. But there are alternatives, right? For influencer software, we will quickly show you how to do this in Influencer Hero. If you prefer not to use influencer software for any reason, then you can also use sales software, which I will compare in a bit. What you definitely want to do is warm up your emails, right? So, for example, if you're using your email, your brand email for Klaviyo to reach a lot of customers, your domain might not be the strongest. Just in general, actually using an email warm-up service helps because it will increase your deliverability also for your customers, right? But for influencers as well. So that's something what you can do. But let me quickly show you how to do this in Influencer Hero. Essentially, right here, we have email flows where you can set up your outreach, right? So let's take a quick example here. Let's take this one. We have the outreach email subject line. You can set up the follow-ups and you can save them. And then the system automatically sends out all the emails in your campaign. So it's all automated, right? And with personalized placeholders. Now, what you can do in order to maximize your deliverability in Influencer Hero is to turn on natural email sending, right? So it says here, spreads out the email throughout the day and also based on the influencer's time zone. So this should always be enabled. Well, you can disable it, but frankly, we should actually just put it enabled. Per default, it's enabled. Because what it will do is it will look at the time zone and then it will not send the emails at in the middle of the night or from 1 a.m. until 6 a.m. And it will also mimic human behavior in the sending of the emails. So it's random in order to maximize deliverability. Then what you also can do is you can go into email flows, and if you check the spam score here, you will get to this section here where you get some additional insights on your deliverability, right? So we have a quick summary here. It's created by AI where we just make it a little bit more simple and less cryptic for non-technical people. But here you can see, for example, certain things which you can improve from a technical perspective, right? Because there are technical things and there are email-related things in order to maximize your response rate. So, for example, there are certain keywords to avoid, like spam trigger keywords, and all those things can be looked up in this spam report, and then you can just double-check how to improve your email and your settings for deliverability. Now, that being said, you have similar features in sales software, right? So if you say, hey, I don't want to use influencer software, you can also decide to use sales software. Now, these softwares are typically used for cold outreach by B2B software companies or agencies, and you can use them. If you decide to do that, we definitely recommend to use Instantly, but you have some other providers. You have quite a few, Lemlist, Woodpecker, but I personally have used quite a few of them, and Instantly is definitely one of the best there. But again, the drawback here of using sales software is that you need to kit together your entire tech stack, right? Because what happens is you do your influencer outreach with Instantly, for example, then what do you do with the responses? Are you going to just manage them in your inbox? It will make it very difficult and less scalable, right? Where do you create affiliate links? You need a separate software to create affiliate links. You need to log in there, get the affiliate links. And essentially using influencer software, especially Influencer Hero, makes it a lot easier because you can do everything in one place, right? And we show that throughout this course as well in the CRM, how to create affiliate links and everything else you need in order to manage your campaign. So just keep that in mind when deciding which tools to use. Now, let's dive into what's actually the content, okay? So the communication strategy. And this is super crucial, okay? Because it's a funnel, and if you don't optimize on top of your funnel, right, your bottom of the funnel won't work either. So what we have here is, or we'll go through the 4 most important rules in order to maximize your response rate, and we go through them one by one. So rule 1, adding the influencer's first name into the subject line. Just by doing this, it will increase your open rates by around 30%, okay? Because the inbox is full, especially, right, influencers, they get a lot of emails, and you need to stand out. And just by having the first name in the subject line at the beginning, it captures their attention, and we just have seen significant higher open rates and just because of that response rates, right? So that's something we highly recommend. You can see in this screenshot here, first name, default influencer handle. This is how we do it in Influencer Hero. We have the first name, I think, for around 80% or not even 90% of the influence in our database, but just for the few cases where we don't have the first name, it will default to influencer handle, which we always have, right? And then enter your brand name and then partnership, right? So for example, this would say Sarah Gymshark partnership, right? Super simple. That's a subject line we recommend for the first email. And then the beginning of the email is super important to keep it personalized. So that's actually rule 2, maximize personalization, right? And leverage AI to hyper personalize each email. This is what we do again with Influencer Hero, which I will show you in a second. But let's take a look at the email itself. So here it says hi first name. Actually, this placeholder should be familiar if you guys are using Klaviyo. We made sure to follow the exact same definition and terms of, or the definition of the placeholders of Klaviyo, because we know that most of our users are using Klaviyo, right? So again, hi first name, default influencer handle. So we'd start with hi Sarah. Obviously, it's personalized. And then what we have here, it's a placeholder called personalized sentence. And this is a unique feature we have at Influencer Hero. And what the feature does is it looks at the last few posts of the influencer on social media, and then it will create a personalized sentence based on that content. And this makes a huge difference. And I will actually, I want to show you guys how this works, but it's really, really good. Here are a few examples I just visualized, right? So you have an influencer, for example, which posted something about making cookies, right? And we'll write, hi Tony, I've been totally hooked on your mini chocolate chip cookies, and that secret vanilla pudding mix is pure genius, right? So this is automated. So the AI writes it, and it will basically automate your personalization, right? So if you send out 100 emails to influencers, you cannot do this one by one. It will take too much time. The AI does it for you. It's automatically created. I can actually show you how it works in the influencer list. So actually in this section here, you click on influencer list. You can see all the personalized sentence here. Let me actually show a few specific examples to make this a bit more tangible. So here, influencer. And then, right, so let's take a quick look. So we have here Taylor Swift, Selena Gomez, and Mr. Beast. And then what you see here is Taylor Swift. The AI writes, I'm beyond excited for the Tortured Poets department. Your creativity never ceases to amaze me, right? So I'm not sure what the Poets department is. It's probably referring to one of her albums. I'm not too familiar with Taylor Swift's music, but you get the point, right? Super personalized. Then for Selena Gomez, I absolutely love how you make beauty feel so effortless. And then for Mr. Beast, I just watched Beast Games on Prime Video, and I'm super excited for your big video drop. Keep in mind that these influencers were added at this date, so the sentence is referring to a post on that date, right? But this shows you, right, it makes a huge difference. If the influencer gets these sentences in the email, it will maximize your response rate, right? So that's what we do with Influencer Hero. Then this section after it is my name is, enter your name, right? So my name is Sarah, for example, and I'm from Gymshark. We are, and then add one sentence description about your brand, right? Just a short description. That's how we recommend to open your email. So basically the beginning of your email. And then what we can do is we can move on to the email body. Let me actually show this to you guys. Appendix 1. Yeah, here you see the full email as well. So you can go back into the appendix, and I'm actually linking the Google Doc of with all these templates in the description below, so you can just access it. You can create a copy, you can copy paste whatever in this in the sheets or in the slide deck as well. You can go to the appendix and you can see it here. So here you see the entire template, right? Subject, and then what we discussed is the opening of the email, and then the body of the email is, we are looking for potential partnerships and we love the content on your account. Influencer handle, again, personalization, right? It will make it unique to the influencer. It would be awesome if you could test our, enter your product, right? So for example, if you could test our sunglasses or whatever it is what you're selling, right? Highlight your USP and your product in one sentence. So make sure to make a short description highlighting your USP. And I think that's pretty much it in terms of the body. Yeah, then let's actually go through the outreach rules, right? So we covered rule 1 and 2, and then rule 3 is keep it as short as possible. And this is absolutely the most important rule, and or probably the no, this is definitely the biggest mistake I see brands make, is to craft long emails. And I do understand it, because maybe you're the founder or you're the CMO, and you're proud of your brand. You want to put as much as possible storytelling or what is behind the brand into the email, which I do understand. However, it won't work in your favor. Okay, the attention span is very low, including the ones of influencers. No one likes to read, unfortunately, nowadays. Well, maybe if it's a book or the setting is different, but an email and messages, the shorter the better. Okay, so we typically use just a quick AI prompt, shorten this email, for example, without losing any of the crucial information. Something in the direction, you can use that prompt in order to shorten the email. Just make sure to reduce it to the most important elements of your email, which are covered in the template, right? So you just need to fill in the green parts, but highlight your USP. Don't write a paragraph of 10 sentences. Avoid that, please. 1-2 sentences max. The shorter the better, actually, just to the point. Okay, so that's rule 3. And then rule 4, clear value proposition. Why should the influencer choose your brand? So this is important, right? You want to make it clear in the email what the influencer gets out of it, right? So that's this part, actually. I'm happy to send you one of our products. We also offer 20% commission and discount code. Make the offer feel attractive as possible. Okay, so whatever it is you can offer, include it in order to stack up your the benefits you're offering, right? This is a business inquiry. You want to close this deal, so you want to make sure that there's as much as possible value for the influencer as possible in that email, which will in turn trigger a reply, right? So again, in this case, it's a free product, 20% commission, and the discount code for their followers. So yeah, those are the 4 most important rules. Oh, I forgot one, which is actually without this one, your response rate will tank. So this is definitely, all of them are important, but this one is definitely one of the most important ones. It is a strong call to action. Okay, if you can do everything well in your email, but if you don't end the email with a strong CTA, it can tank your response rate, right? So what are you asking the influencer to do after, they have read this email, right? So in this example, I write, can I send you one of the products, right? Can I send you one of my, can I send you one of the premium sunglasses? Why is this such an attractive CTA, which we prefer to use? It's difficult to say no to something nice which you want for free, right? It's not for free. Nothing, unfortunately, is for free in this world, but you are asking for a post in exchange. But ending with an attractive offer and then just asking, can I send it to you? It makes it also super easy for the influencer to reply with yes or no, but in most cases, we obviously go for the yes answer, right? So ending with a question to trigger a response. And then what we want is to avoid multiple CTAs. That's also something which I've seen quite frequently. Avoid multiple CTAs, right? Don't tell them, check out our Instagram here, check out our website here, and can I send you a product? Those would be 3 CTAs. Too much. try to limit it to one strong CTA at the end of the email. And why do we also say send product? Because the next step is you need to collect the address, right? Stay clear of vague messages. Super important, right? Straight to the point. Any confusion will drop your response rate. Okay, so keep it simple and to the point and very clear. So that's the email closing. So this is the first email, right? Your outreach email. Then after that, what will actually lead to the highest increase in your response rate are the follow-ups, okay? Really important. Don't stop after the first email. Just by using follow-ups, you can actually 2x or double your response rate, okay? So if your initial response rate is, let's say, 15%, just by using follow-ups, it will double to around 30%, okay? So not doing this will hurt you most. What else? Well, definitely try to automate this, right? Again, if you do it manually, takes you a lot of time to send out 2-3 more follow-ups. What we do in Influence Hero, again, as I showed earlier, we have these email flows, right? So we have the first name, we have the first outreach email, then we have the follow-up, then we have a second follow-up. You can even add the third one, right? And you have time delays in between. Time delays, I typically recommend not to use 48 hours, but I prefer to do 50. Reason being, if it's 48, it's 2 times 24. So it goes out at the exact same minute 2 days later, which looks a little bit like automation, right? So I prefer to do 50 hours. So it goes 2 hours later than the last email, just to avoid that influencers might think you use automation, right? So we have the follow-up templates in the appendix as well. Also in the link where you can just copy or create a copy of the entire sequence, but we can briefly go through them. Yeah, same personalization at the beginning, and then just keep it short, okay? I hope you're doing great. Our campaign is about to start, and I wanted to make a quick follow-up on our offer. Also great, our campaign is about to start, create some urgency, right? Which can also increase your response rate. And then we're really impressed by the quality of your content, blah, blah, blah. So this is quite obvious. Second follow-up. Yeah, we won't go through this too much. You can check the follow-ups yourself, but just make sure to use them. Then outreach statistics. What we'll do is we'll just briefly take a look at the funnel here, just so you can plan ahead and know how many influencers you should reach out to in order to hit your numbers, right? So what we typically see, so the average response rate on our entire platform is 33%. Okay, so that's incredibly high for outreach, also for influencer outreach. The reason we achieve that is, right, by using our systems, right? Using a slow ramp up, using all the mechanisms I've showed you throughout this course, right? Follow-ups, personalized sentence with AI, first name in a subject line. All those things combined will stack up and you will get to a 33% on average on our entire platform, right? So I would say if you use Influencer Hero, around 30%. If you use other software, maybe calculate 15-20%, just take a slight discount on it. Let's say 30%, right? Then what's the onboarding rate, right? So the onboarding rate is the number of influencers or the percentage you will be actually working with. Right, so the reply rate is 30% doesn't mean that you will work with 30%, right? So let's take the example of you contact 100 influencers, you get 30 responses, and then you have a 15% onboarding rate on average. Can be a bit lower, can be a bit higher, depending on your brand and how you manage your campaigns. But what we see is around 15% for affiliate and gifting. Also very important to note here, because if you are doing fixed payment campaigns, this percentage can be a lot higher, right? If you are paying influencers $5,000, $10,000, or $20,000 to post for you, this percentage can skyrocket, right? But obviously, and again, the content of this course is about performance-driven influencer marketing, right? So ROI-driven, staying profitable and maximizing results. In that case, again, you want to start with affiliate and gifting campaigns. There it's 15%, okay? Before I move on to the next line items, maximize posting rate. So posting rate, this is also crucial. This is the percentage of the influencers you send products to, which will actually end up posting. And with affiliate and gifting campaigns, this is not 100%. Just important to keep that in mind to avoid frustration and just knowing that this is just part of the game, because you're not paying the influencers. Some of them won't end up posting. Some of them might take advantage of you, a small percentage, which is totally fine because your average numbers again, which we'll discuss in detail throughout this course, should match up. And we take that into account that a certain percentage won't post. But it's not only that. Some influencers might just not like your product, right? They might receive it and they don't like it. Maybe it arrived with a defect or it took too long to arrive. Can have a various number of reasons. Don't stress too much about it. You don't have the time. Just focus on the rest of your campaign. We see typically 60 to 80% posting rate, right? You can minimize this significantly by using our communication strategy, which we will explain in the next session, in the negotiation and campaign management session. There we will discuss in detail in the awaiting post stage how to minimize non-posting and maximize your posting rate to get this up to the 80 and sometimes even 90% range. Then high quality UGC rate. This is also for affiliate and gifting campaigns. Again, if you use fixed payments, this is a lot higher. But if you're not paying them, you will get a wide variety of different creative assets, okay? What's funny to see is that some influencers, they just make a picture of the product and they post it. But there will be some influencers which really go the extra mile. We have seen people which make an entire shoot in their creative studio, slow motion, video editing. So what we see is that around 5 to 10% of your creative assets will be very, very high quality, which you can reuse, for example, for paid ads or your website or anything else, right? So that's a major benefit, which we'll also discuss in a separate session, how to use UGC for paid ads and stuff. But yeah, this is what we see. So for example, if you work with 100 influencers, out of those 100, around 5 to 10 are like really high quality, which you might want to use for paid ads. Again, this number can be higher or a bit lower depending on your situation. Good, then I think that is pretty much it. Here are the templates. Again, all the templates are in the description below. So make sure to just create a copy and use them. In Influence Hero, by the way, you can also AI create this entire sequence, which actually works really, really well. We recommend it for all users. So if you're on Influence Hero, do that. And otherwise, that's it for today. And see you guys next week.